Hey guys, welcome to another real-time edit. I got something a little different for you this time. Instead of just editing one photo, I actually have 4 photos here that I'm going to stitch together in a panorama, and I shot them just for that. So I really liked this scene as it was, just as a single shot. It's really nice. But when I was laying on the beach there that morning, I think it was almost before sunrise, or maybe the sun was just coming up, the tones in the sky in the background in this image here and this image here, they were even more kind of purpley and blue than you actually see here, but you can already see some of those tones in this one, and they looked really beautiful, so I wanted to show those off, but I didn't want to back up so much that I lost this shallow depth of field look, because I could have backed up and shot vertical, but then the bird would have been much further away, and my background separation wouldn't have been quite as nice as it is when I was this close. So in this case, I shot those 2 additional images above it. I shot this image right here, locked focus, panned up, shot that, panned up even further, shot that. And then I think actually in the beginning, I also panned down and shot this one. So I have this series of images now. So what I'm going to do is just in Lightroom here, we're going to go to the photo merge, do the panorama. We're not going to do an HDR panorama. I don't really need any of that kind of stuff to happen. And there we go. Everything's successful. We'll just leave the settings as they were. Go ahead and merge that. And now we've got our image all stitched together. Thank you, Lightroom. So let's hop into the develop mode, or module, whatever you'd like to call it. And now we have a really high resolution image. You can see when I zoom in, I got a ton of detail there. And overall, this image is a little bit light now, so let's darken it just a little. We'll kick those shadows up a little more and bring the blacks back for contrast. I actually want to use the graduated filter to kind of warm up the sand in the foreground here, so it's a little bit more kind of brown toned than it was that kind of cool pink tone. And we're also going to darken it slightly, so again our eye goes more towards the bird. That's really good. Now we're going to do another graduated filter, and like I said, remember I mentioned the sky had a little bit more kind of blue and purpley pastels to it, so we're actually going to enhance that now. So I'm going to drag graduated filter, something like that, and we're going to kind of enhance that blue right on the horizon there. And there you can see it's kind of really a nice dip, a nice deep rich blue now. Not a dip blue, a deep blue. And I'm going to actually add another one on top of it here, but this one I'm going to go the other way and actually shift and bring some of those magenta tones back in. So we're going to warm it up a little bit and kind of bring it that more purpley kind of tone. And that's more of what I kind of remembered how it looked to my eye. And that might be a little bit kind of harsh of a transition, so maybe we'll spread that one out just a little bit so it kind of softens that transition. And maybe we'll bring some of that blue kind of down in here. Again, soften that transition. And there it looks a little bit more natural. The last thing I want to do is crop this just a little bit. It's a little bit of a fat kind of image. I'm used to a little bit more narrow image, so I think I'll try and go back to the original camera 2:3 proportions and see what we get. And I just want to make sure I can fit in the bird, and that I do want to keep that one blade of grass all the way on the left with the little water drop on it. I kind of really like that. And yeah, something like that feels pretty good. Let's just make sure I don't have, looks like I have a little tiny bit of white space down that bottom left corner there. So we'll just cheat that up a little bit. And there we go. I think we're good. Let's go into Photoshop and actually edit this thing up. All right. First things first, let's put a retouch layer on this. And I actually want to clean up this kind of scraggly grass here, so I'm just going to use I think it's a spot healing brush I'm using right now. We're just going to paint that guy out real quick. Worked perfectly. Little weird white speck on the bird's head there. I do wish the bird had its eye open a little bit more, but it must have been tired that morning. So I'm also going to kind of soften up these bright spots in the foreground and lighten up the dark spots, just kind of even out the tone there. So that's not quite as eye-catching. And then, oops, keep doing that. Let's just get rid of these. I think these are water drops that are just catching the light weird back there, but they just look like almost dust spots, so we'll darken those. I really love how some of these grasses just kind of fade up into the sky like that. All right, so next thing, burn dodge layer. I'm just going to grab the regular old paintbrush, oops, and just kind of softly darken this foreground, really kind of draw our eye into that bird. That should be enough of that. going to throw a dodge layer on. We're actually going to go in and just kind of lighten the bird. It might be a little bit much there. Just kind of want to brighten this bird up, really make it stand out. I'm going to throw another dodge layer on, get real small, really accentuate this catch light. It's kind of cool. You can almost see the colors of the sunrise back there. Now I'm going to zoom out, and you can see that's probably a little bit too much now on that. So paint with black and kind of soften that catch light back up. That's good. And maybe some of that dodge layer I can use to just kind of really brighten the beak here. I really want my eye to go right to that bird. There's a little bit of blue tones happening on the shadow side there, so hue and saturation adjustment layer. I'll grab the target adjustment tool there and just kind of drag the blue saturation down, get rid of that effect everywhere, and then paint with white to just kind of pull some of that blue tone out of the bird. And we're looking pretty good. I think the one last thing I want to do is maybe a little bit kind of richer on that sky. So maybe kind of like that area. Let's just throw a gradient on there. Oops, that's a radial. I want the linear. Let's see what that does. Just kind of richen up our sky, and then maybe just a tiny bit more magenta in that upper portion. There we go, something like that. And then let's maybe hit the whole image with a shot of contrast. And that's probably too much. I'll just lower the opacity on that contrast. And there we go. Much cleaner. The bird's standing out way more. We got beautiful tones in this image. And let me save that. And back into Lightroom. Let's actually take a look at these two side by side, so we can see the before and after from the Lightroom stitch to the final photoshopped image. And there we go, finished image on the right. You can see how the bird pops out a little more, and we got just a little bit more of that beautiful color tones in the sky. So here's the toggle on that, so before, after. And technically we went from a single image, come on computer, you can do it, a single image that just showed a little bit of that sky, to this beautiful vertical image that really kind of shows a lot more of these tones in the sky. It shows a little bit more of the mood that I had that day. Sorry, just waiting for the computer to catch up here. There we go. And hopefully I think it's a little bit more of an interesting creative image than just that single kind of horizontal exposure by itself. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I hope you guys liked seeing that edit, and hopefully you kind of picked up on how easy it can be to kind of stitch an image together when you plan ahead of time. You know, if you see an image like this and you're too close, actually my friend Scott Keys does this all the time, and so I always forget about it, and then he mentions it and I remember, oh yeah, I can really kind of do that to take advantage of being closer but getting a little bit more in the scene. So thanks for watching. Hope you tune in next time.